Okay, we're back. So we were talking about the veil. I was talking about the veil. Now, this veil, okay, was very important as it pertained to the tent of meeting. Because beyond this veil was, as I stated before, the place where the actual presence of Yahuwah dwelled and existed. So this veil was fastened by different linens, scarlet, purple, okay, fine linen. The instructions were given to construct this veil in the book of Exodus. Now, another word for veil we could look at would be curtain. Curtain. So you can just imagine a curtain that was fashioned by the design of Yahuwah. Okay, and beyond this curtain or beyond this veil was the holiest of holy. Okay, the holiest of holies. And the only one could go beyond that veil now, okay, was the chief priest in the proper attire. All right, now, this is very important because this was the presence where the Father dwelled. So let's look at Matthew chapter 27 and let's see what happens in verses 51 concerning this veil. Okay, let's check that out. Matthew 27 verse 51. Okay, well, I'll start reading at verse 50 because we're talking about here the death of the Son, Yahushua. Okay, verse 50 says, Yahushua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, this is at his crucifixion, he yielded up the ghost. Okay, 51. And behold, here it is, the veil of the temple was rent in two from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake and the rocks rent. So the veil now, when he gave up the ghost or he passed away, the veil now that was there before was torn in two. It was ripped. So now there's this opening. Glory be to his name. There's this opening. Now there, where there was once a veil, now there's access. Do you see what I'm saying? Now there's access, okay? According to the scripture, when he gave up the ghost, the veil was rent in two from the top to the bottom. Now this is important because now where the presence of Yahuwah was blocked off by this curtain, if you will, by this veil, if you will, now when he gave up the ghost, the veil was rent in two. So now there's an opening. Glory be to his name. Now there's an opening. There's an opening for who? The called and chosen. The called and chosen, the people of the kingdom. Okay? So let's see what significance this plays now as it pertains to communing or being one or fellowshipping with the Father. Okay? Let's see how this plays out. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 6. Hebrews chapter 6. Okay? And let's look at Hebrews chapter 6 and I'm going to read verses 19 and 20. See, because listen, today there is no need for any person, any man, okay, preacher, deacon, bishop, minister, whatever, to go to the Father on your behalf. Do you hear what I'm telling you? There's no need for that today. Why? Because the veil was torn. And because this veil was torn, now we can all come boldly before the throne. We're going to read this. We're going to read this in an upcoming broadcast. We're going to read how we can come now to the Father and what we have to do to come to the Father. Because this tent of meeting, this tabernacle, all that was a picture. It was a shadow of the thing that was to come. It was a picture pointing to, okay, the true worship. At that time, it was a picture. Remember, this is old agreement. This tent of meeting, this tabernacle, okay, the altar with the sacrifices in the outer court, the ark of the covenant with the mercy seat behind the veil, okay, the one that the chief priest could only enter into once a year for the atonement of the sins of the people. This was only a picture, a shadow of the thing that was to come. But now we're in Matthew. Listen, the death has happened. The death of the Son has happened. And when the death happened of Yahushua, listen, the veil was torn. Okay? So let's pick this same train of thought up in Hebrews chapter 6, verses 19 and 20. Okay? Here we go. Verses 19 and 20. Well, let me read start at verses 18. 6:18. That by two immutable things in which it was impossible for Yahuwah to lie, we might have a strong consolation. We, who have fled for the refuge, okay, to lay hold upon the hope set before us. All right, here it is, 19. Which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast. This hope he's talking about, this is sure, is steadfast, and which, listen, entereth into that within the veil. Glory be to his name. You see, enter into that within the veil. What was within the veil? Within the veil was the presence of Yahuwah. It was the spirit of Yahuwah. So he says now that soul, that sure, that steadfast hope we have, that we enter within the veil. 20. Whither the forerunner is for us entered. Who was the forerunner? Here it is. Even Yahushua, made as an high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Now listen, we said before, this is what I told you. I told you through the tent of meeting, okay? Through that veil, the only one that could enter was the high priest, the chief priest, okay? He did that for the atonement of the sins of the people. But now look what it says here in Hebrews chapter 6, verse 20. It says, whither the forerunner is for us entered, even Yahushua. He entered for us. Why? Because he is now made the high priest. Glory be to his name. He is now made the high priest. Why? After the order of Melchizedek, or after the order of a high priest. You see, he has been made this high priest now for all those who are called and chosen and follow his will, the will of the Father. He is our high priest, and he has entered in. Now, what does that mean to us? Now that our high priest, our sure, steadfast hope, okay, has entered into the holiest of holies, beyond the veil that was rent because of his death, his sacrifice. What does that mean to us? Join me next week and we'll get into what that means. And I'll tell you, okay? Glory be to his name. Until then, I want you to be empowered, my friend, and stay on this road of righteousness. Listen, you are the church. You, brother, that is called and chosen. You, sister, that is called and chosen of the Most High to be the follower. You are the congregation where the Spirit dwells. He has entered in to all the called and the chosen. So now, wherever two or three are gathered in his name, there he'll be in the midst of them. Until next week, be empowered, my friend.